Guys, we have finally made it. The update that you guys have all been waiting for regarding the San Francisco 49ers trade drama around Brandon Aiyuk, Deebo Samuel, and it came straight from John Lynch this morning on the Pat McAfee show. I don't want to steal his thunder. Listen to what John Lynch has to say, and I have a very exciting announcement for you on the opposite side of this video. So stay tuned. But listen to John Lynch as he says they're beyond the trade rumors and speculation about Deebo Samuel and Brandon Aiyuk.
And you just mentioned Deebo, but you talk about George Kittle and Ayuk's down the field blocking and everybody. I remember there was a time last year where another team, Pittsburgh Steelers, had a wide receiver that wouldn't block because he didn't want to get rolled up on. And then literally like maybe the next game was you guys and you're number one in the NFC, potentially going to say what teams want to be, and all your wide receivers are 20 yards down the field blocking and bodying, and it's like, hey, that's part of the culture right there. That is literally a part of the culture. You can feel that, I assume, whenever it settles in. And at this point, finding Niners easier or harder than maybe when you were trying to figure out your culture?
I think it's easier when you've had that continuity of Kyle and I working together. And I told you early on, you know, we went into great lengths in terms of defining exactly what we want in terms of the talent and the spirit. You know, what are the qualities that we want in a Niner? And those things are fluid and they change. But, you know, we have a saying around here, our wide receiver coach, Leonard Hankerson, and he tells those guys, block, no rock. So you want the ball, you best be blocking for your teammates. And you see Christian McCaffrey doing it for Deebo Samuel. Brandon Aiyuk is a tremendous. I love the way that guy plays, his spirit. You know, Jawan Jennings taking the dude from Green Bay into Gatorade, bam. I mean, that stuff is contagious. And that's what we talk about. We want guys that are contagiously competitive. You know, we have a standard. Once that standard's set, if you think the guy's made of the right stuff, he may not have been asked to block like that in college. So you have to do some predicting of, let's get to know the person. What was he asked to do? Are you willing to do that? And so those are the people we try to bring in, like-minded people. And we have a standard in which we play, and the players, it's up to them to uphold that standard. Kyle says often, you know, his roots are as a wide receiver. He played wide receiver in college. He coached wide receiver as the first position. But those guys set the tone for an offense on the physicality of your team. And you often think that's the offensive line. But I've come to really believe that when the receivers are out there blocking, it raises all.
Yeah, the offensive lineman better. Field. Yeah, the offensive lineman better be blocking if the wide receivers are blocking. I didn't even think about that either, because it's just like natural that the offensive linemen are going to have to be physical. But if you have a bunch of dogs on the outside, everybody sees that. It heightens everything, and that's brilliant. I don't think I've ever heard that either.
Yeah, and it's cool because it's something that, you know, like the link to the past here with the Niners, that's something Jerry Rice and John Taylor and Bill Walsh used to always talk about. You're not playing for me if you're not going to block at wide receiver. And so it's a tradition that is carried on, and it's something we're real proud of. But you got to redo it. You know, you got to recreate it every year. It doesn't just show up. That has to be your standard, and that comes from the work we do on the practice field.
Okay, so last question from me before the boys have some, and we can't thank you enough for joining us. You just complimented Ricky Pearsall immensely, I think. From what I just heard, you said this is the only type of guys we're going to take. It's like, okay, well, sounds like we just learned a lot about Ricky there, who you just drafted. Now, you just sat up. Good, smart play, because this one's going to be talked about. Yeah, smart, John. You know it. You obviously Stanford brain
gets it.
Wide receiver room. You got a lot of business you're going to have to do. And I think you've even mentioned before, like, we've had to do this before too, seemingly always us having to do this. And it's because of the eyeing of talent, the finding of talent, bringing in of talent, success, a lot of eyeballs, and everybody wanting, you know, everybody that you have seemingly on your team, especially when you have a plethora. That wide receiver room has a lot of business that has to be handled. Is that how you see it? And what are your thoughts on how you're going to, you know, kind of navigate it all, knowing that humans are involved, money's involved, and having a football team ready to go this fall that needs to win a Super Bowl so that we can add a 6th trophy to the wall there in San Francisco?
Yeah, well, here's my thoughts. You know, I love our roster. I love the way it's comprised. As I said, we were right there, and we got to find a way to get just a little bit better. And I'm doing everything in my power to keep our roster together, and that's my goal. And I don't question that. I've got so much belief. When you talk about guys like Brandon Aiyuk and Deebo, they're guys we drafted. They're guys we take a lot of pride in what they've become, who they've become, and we couldn't be more proud of those guys. And so, during the course of drafts and off seasons, do conversations happen? Absolutely, they do. We're past that now, and we're thrilled to add to that group Jawan Jennings, Brandon Aiyuk, Deebo Samuel, Chris Conley, Ronnie Bell, Danny Gray, and now you add Ricky Pearsall, Jake Cowing. I think we made an already strong group even stronger. And part of my job is to think about the now and then to think into the future as well. Think out, and so. But we don't do that without thinking, can these guys contribute right away? And we have a vision for both those guys, how they can contribute and be a part. And they represent a lot of the qualities that we like in our players. And they were the best players there for us at the time. And so we're thrilled to add those guys to an already strong room. And we're ready to roll forward. And we've got to find a way, like I said, just to get that much better. And we think we really helped our roster throughout this offseason, free agency, into the draft. And we're fired up about our team.
John, you're awesome, dude.
Hell yeah. At the beginning of the video, I said I had an important announcement for you guys. This will be the last time that I talk about any 49ers wide receiver trade drama. We're done. We've officially gotten what we needed from John Lynch. So it doesn't matter how many Steelers people talk about trading for Brandon Aiyuk or Deebo Samuel, or Jaguars people, or anyone else, anyone scrubbing social media. We're just going to wait and let this thing play out from here on out. So I know we've had kind of a tumultuous back and forth this offseason as I've kind of covered this situation all throughout, trying to cover every single angle for you guys, because I truly believe that is a benefit for you to be able to understand it all and where it's all coming from, regardless of you believing it or not. But I do know that it did upset a bunch of you that I was covering this subject. However, like I said, this is it. This is the last one. We can rejoice now and we can move on with our lives. We can focus on the incoming draft class. We can focus on OTAs, rookie minicamp, and training camp coming up. And then we are just going to let the whole contract negotiation with Brandon Aiyuk and the 49ers front office figure that thing out. Because honestly, this is what we were waiting for, and this is what we were hoping for, is that we got through the draft. Both wide receivers are still here. And if that was the case, that would mean that that is the big indication that they will be playing with the San Francisco 49ers next season. So until anything dramatic changes, I don't expect to be covering this topic until we are celebrating Brandon Aiyuk's contract, hopefully come training camp. So, or right before training camp would be ideal. But let me know what you guys thought about what John Lynch had to say, saying that we're beyond those trade conversations. Although they did happen, they're beyond them. They're moving beyond them. And their plan is to move forward with Brandon Aiyuk and Deebo Samuel on this roster, and obviously working towards a long-term contract extension with BA. Let me know how you guys are feeling about this in the comments below. And as always, make sure to like and subscribe for more updates.